Here's another interesting calculator from my collection of, in fact this one's a Panaplex calculator from my collection of Panaplex display calculators. This one is branded Rockwell on one side and Anita on the other. Now Anita is the same brand as the Nixie tube calculator I showed in an earlier video, the Anita 1000 LSI. That was a very early Nixie tube machine. This one is Panaplex. It's got 12 digits, but it's also branded Rockwell. Now on the bottom it's got Made in England, which is something you don't see these days. And Rockwell's an American company. So I don't know what's happened there. I don't know whether Anita has been bought up by Rockwell. There's also a brand called Sumlock, and you quite often see Sumlock Anita. May well be the same company, and maybe some sort of brand that they use. But this one's also got Rockwell. Now, Rockwell are an American company into things like aerospace. They built the Space Shuttle. They bought North American Aviation, and they ended up building the Space Shuttle. They also were a second source supplier for the 6502 processor. They built quite a lot of interesting vintage silicon, and 6502 one of them. I think they've been themselves bought by somebody else now. I don't think Rockwell still makes aircraft. I think I got an idea that Rockwell had been bought by some other big American aerospace company. But this one is the Rockwell Anita 1211 or 1211. It's a 12-digit calculator with a Panaplex display. It's moving away from the adding machine plus equals button. It has a separate equals key here. The minus key is still red to indicate that you're subtracting, and that's all dear dangerous. You've got a slightly enlarged plus button because that's the main thing it's for adding up numbers. The name adding machine rather gives that away. This one's got a memory. It's got memory plus, memory minus. It's also got equals plus and equals minus. What on earth they do, I don't know. It has an interesting float or round. There's a little symbol here like a semicircle for rounding, and this is the decimal places switch, so you can select decimal places, and I think that bottom one is floating point. Difficult to say. It's got symbols rather than wording on there. I haven't got a manual. So there it is, the 12 digits in Panaplex. So these are 7 segment. It doesn't have the 8th segment for the 4. The orange glow you can see there is neon. That's the neon gas in the little tiny discharge tubes that form the segments of the display. So the orange colour is part of the it's a fundamental colour produced by neon when it glows. So you can't change the colour of that. That's the physics of the thing. Neon gas glows orange, and if you see a so-called neon sign that isn't orange, well, there's something funny going on there. It probably isn't neon gas inside the thing. This is neon gas. It's glowing orange, the same orange as you'd see on a Nixie tube or on a neon bulb for that matter. Let's see if we can make it do something. There's no interesting square root to have a go at on here. We can do an M+. Oh, and something lit up there for the memory. So if I clear, and then we do RM. Yep, that recalls the memory. What else can we do? There's an up and down arrow button, and then what that does. Yeah, that's interesting. That's swapping back and forth between the number you typed in and a 0. It's like it's got, maybe that's the button that you use to when you're dividing, to switch the operands of the dividing operation over. I don't know. I haven't, as I got the manual. We've got recall memory. Yep, that's what you expect it to do. So there you go. Really, that's about all I can say about that. It's quite a slim design. It hasn't got much of a sort of shade around the display. Some of the earlier ones had a lovely deeply recessed display that would keep ambient light off it. This one hasn't apparently got that. But it has got 12 digits and it is Panaplex, my favourite kind of calculator display.